Today on Scotty and Rico Make a Podcast.
I don't care if they're 17, until they're 18, they're going to play tabletop games with dad.
The thing that I love about it is everyone's working co-op, but if you die, you become a zombie. And then you could try and kill your friends.
It's really crazy. Like, each time you open a new door, a new tile is laid down, and you can now go investigate that room.
I bled for this creature. I took hits during the game.
This is not a good game. I don't know if we should broadcast it.
Oh, no.
I'm so disappointed. I was looking
wanted
forward
to play
that.
I was like,
Not yet,
when's
anyway.
the
I
next-
was like, I'm going to get that game right now.
When's the next game night?
All right, everybody, welcome to podcast number 4.
Número 4.
Número 4 para tu.
And as you can tell, we have a special guest today. We have Matthew.
Matthew, the man, the myth, the legend. You know that before you even came here, we were jamming out, and this guy was like ripping it on guitar. It was so awesome. So I told him we were going to have a special treat on this podcast from our old band that Matthew is the head creator and put together, the Wrecked. It was one of my first actual bands to like go out there and play and stuff.
I'm blushing.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so we got to relive some of our
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
It was fun. I didn't remember half the stuff at first, but we worked around
Yeah.
it.
So we
Got-
want to
got
play.
there.
When was the last time you guys played together?
Like with musical instruments or just
With-
normal?
We play on
Never
a regular
mind.
basis. We
Yeah.
haven't played music.
What do you guys
Oh,
jam
yeah,
last?
yeah, music. Yeah, no. Jeez.
I was looking at stuff. That must be
Probably
like
Port Charlotte.
Yeah. And like musically, like played out. That was like what, like 7 years ago now?
Oh my goodness.
So you guys, 7 years ago, huh?
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
when we had the warehouse. Which
Yeah.
I know we already did the warehouse story, but that's another warehouse story, right?
Yeah.
Like Matthew coming and meeting you, right? You guys
Well,
tell the story. I don't.
Do you want to tell the
Oh.
story about how we met?
Yes.
In front of a Dunkin'
So-
Donuts, not too
Yeah.
awkward. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no. So I was in between music stuff and was just trying to do something new. So I was just actually trying to be a singer for a band for a little while, like walk away from playing and just kind of like get out some stuff that had been going through my mind. So I was like, oh, let me, put something on Craigslist and see what I can find. So I ended up finding these guys that were looking for a singer for a band and was going to meet up with them at a Dunkin' Donuts of all place.
That should have
places.
gave you warnings right away.
Right,
That
and
should
I'm
have
like,
said
all right.
something.
So I'm going and I'm sitting out front and I'm just kind of waiting, and Scotty comes walking up. And just, like, we had that, like, awkward glance at each other, like, are you here for the same reason that I'm here?
Who does
I
that?
thought you
And,
were
you know.
another bass player trying out for a band.
Like, at the same time?
So these dudes got you guys to come at the same time to try out for the same.
That just sounds weird.
the
I'm
same
sorry.
decision.
No,
Or
no,
come
no.
at the
Not-
same
not the same position.
Yeah, wow, these guys were great.
I'm such a
I
child.
don't know. That
This is
sounds like
horrible.
that's a good talent. If anything. Anyway, so they scheduled you guys at the same time. No,
Yeah.
like I mean,
And this apparently was just a meet and greet because we didn't actually end up jamming this night. Like, they came over and they were talking to us and everything, and they're like, "Okay, well, yeah, so we'll call you guys." And me and Scotty look at each other like, "Well,
we thought we
what?
were gonna play, right?
yeah." Like, so, I actually ended up inviting him over to my place. I was like, "Hey, you want to come jam?" And we just started kind of jamming, and we ended up meeting with these guys a couple times, and it was
They were
atrocious.
terrible.
I hope you hear this, by the way, you atrocious bastards. Like, how do you call people up to start playing music when you don't play music?
Yeah, well, show up to
I
their
think it
plays.
should have, like, the biggest red flag is that they, like, who does that? Like,
Right.
tell both people to come at the same time to
Yeah.
the Dunkin' Donuts for the same part, whatever.
Well,
for the
no, it
demo.
wasn't for the same part, but I mean, it was
Oh,
just
okay.
like he was going to play bass and I was going to sing, but at the same time, like, it was just such an awkward exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So speaking of playing, it turns out that on April 7th in New Hampshire, they're working to make it where it is tabletop game day. According to the news I read,
mm-hmm.
Representative Christina Schultz, she's a Democrat from New Hampshire, she put a bill in and was sponsored by Representatives Werner Horn and Victoria Sullivan, both Republicans, that April 7th will be National Tabletop Game Day.
The government's gonna do something, right? Just kidding.
They can get together, and they made a decision together.
What did
They can
have,
agree on games. That's good.
Yeah, but what was their reasoning behind making tabletop? Did they give any reasoning, like why?
Yeah, they said that tabletop games have become more popular, especially in that area. They have manufacturers in that area. They have cafes and coffee shops that are opening up to support the gaming. So,
it's for the industry.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been a resurgence over
I gotcha.
the past few years.
So it's for like they have tabletop businesses there, so they're trying to bring them up.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Because I was thinking that they were doing it like because tabletop games, and I'm going to go back to, they bring families together. Like
they bring everyone together.
Right, family, friends. We have our epic. We've all had our epic tabletop game nights.
Right.
So it's it's a great way to get families to actually interact. Nowadays with the computers and the things, they don't really interact.
Yeah.
That's like my major thing about tabletop games is just the fact that it's a chance for everyone to actually be connected with each other again for even a little bit, where, everyone's paying attention to each other and what's going on rather than, being just stuck in a digital world and,
Yeah, I'm fighting really hard right now not to check my Facebook, but,
I'm disappointed in you.
I'm working on it. No, exactly. Well, Matthew, since you were the one that has children here, is that okay for me to say? Yeah?
Yeah, I have children.
Because I have this idea, if I ever had kids, we're having tabletop night at least once a week. Like, it has to happen. Like, I don't care what they're doing. I don't care what, like, I'll drag their asses wherever they're from. I don't care if they're 17 until they're 18. They're going to play tabletop games with dad.
Do you want to go to college or not?
Exactly. It's going to be like, not again. I would sit them down and we would have to do this.
So what games would you play with them?
Oh, all the same games that we all played. King of Tokyo.
I would think
King of Tokyo will build character.
My oldest just started playing King of Tokyo with us recently. And,
that's awesome.
So for people that don't know what King of Tokyo is, can you explain what it is?
It's a game.
Okay, good. Next. So
perfect. Nailed it.
If anyone doesn't know, Matthew is our resident sarcastic guy.
King of Tokyo is a game that was actually created by Richard Garfield, who was one of the creators for Magic. The Gathering. And there are some cards based in it and everything. It's essentially a board. Everyone's a giant monster, kind of like Godzilla-esque
the
or
Electric Bunny.
King Kong-esque kind of characters.
Right.
You're trying to basically kill off all the other monsters and become the king of Tokyo. So it's
an awesome
pretty
game.
fantastic.
We always have such a good time playing that game.
Yeah,
when you introduced me to that game, and I was like, since then we've played nonstop. Paula bought one, I bought one. We all have one. Like the whole family has one.
There's a lot of expansions to it, with some more characters, some different abilities. It's a really good dynamic and it's quick play, so you can get through some games pretty fast and have a lot of fun with it. There's a new one called King of New York, which unfortunately I have yet to play because I have children, like Rico said. I don't get to do as much stuff as I normally used
with King
to.
of Tokyo, the good thing is, like, even people that don't necessarily like playing board games too much, they enjoy it. Because I don't remember Adam at first was like, I don't like playing video, but he was like, when he was living here, he was like, let's play King of Tokyo. People get into it now, like, because when a lot of people have the idea of like tabletop games from when we're younger, like Monopoly. Right. Which is great. I love Monopoly, but I like tabletop games. But
Monopoly is a really good way to lose friends.
Yeah,
or to find out who your real friends are, even.
So, but that game took so long, and it was like nobody knew the rules properly because they didn't read the rules.
Everybody has house rules and everything.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Something that is always interfered.
I was
with,
looking up today about Monopoly. What do you think happens when you land or pass go? Because that's like everyone's got their own house rules on that.
Collect $200.
Yeah, that's
pass go. You collect $200.
Yeah.
If you land on it too.
Yeah, because you're essentially passing it at that point because any next move is.
That's the thing about Matthew is that Matthew likes to read the entire rule book, which is a double-edged sword. Which he knows every rule, so we can't pull a fast one on him.
That's right.
At the same time, he resolves the problems when we meet. Like we're at stalemate, we don't know what to do. He knows the actual rule, but then I can't cheat. So that's the hard part.
Well, you have a technique where you argue your point for every single move you make, but that's another story.
The whole reasoning behind that, though, is just if you understand exactly what you're supposed to do, the game actually continues and flows.
Right.
And you don't have to stop
go
back to
figure
the
it back out. You know,
because there's always like someone that goes, let's read the rule book, and then like it takes forever to go through and like actually find the spot that you know. So that's good to like. Yeah, you and Gabe usually know the rules pretty well, which is good to have. Like,
I mean, there's pitfalls to that, and there's like advantages to it. Like I said, it will continue gameplay and everything, but I mean, at the same time, when that makes it somewhat difficult when you're like trying to get a group of people together, and it's a game that people haven't played before. Getting through those rules can be very challenging, especially when alcohol is involved.
Yeah, and there's people that don't like rules. I like to cheat but not cheat.
If you can get away with it, type of thing.
Yeah, right. But it's not like I actually like to cheat in front of you so that you notice I'm cheating, and then I get called out. That's the kind of cheating I do, where it's like blatant. And you can see it, and it's funny for me.
Right.
Right.
But then there's also people who just don't want rules at all, and they get upset if you call them out.
Let's just play the game. Well, do you know how? No. Well, how are we going to play it?
There was a situation recently where we were playing a game called Secret Hitler, and you open up this.
Sounds bad.
That sounds really bad.
Right.
Yeah. So the rules were really tough to read. So let's just play.
Were they in a different language?
It seemed like it was, if it counts. So
was it
Pascal?
Was it a Mein Kampf?
It was one of those games where you have to lie, and you have people on one side that are good, and other people who are the bad people, and you have to lie and make things wrong. Anyway,
kind of like
is that
Resistance.
You guys played this?
Resistance.
Yeah,
I played it.
Oh, you played it.
I
Okay.
have not played it.
It's like Resistance. That one. The one that
Coup and all those.
Coup. Right.
So
I
anyway,
never played any of those games until I started playing with you guys. Those are pretty cool. You want?
Yeah, so I was playing this game, and the rules were really tough. So we decided we're just going to play the game, and then see how it plays out, and then go back to the rules if we need to. But it was so hard to play. It was like, we have to go to the rules and read the stupid rules.
Speaking of Resistance, I love that game. Just because it's really fun to see your friends be put in that awkward situation. Essentially, it's a game where there is people fighting for the resistance, and then there's spies that are trying to fail missions and make bad things happen, and only the spies know who each other are, and the whole game is to figure out who they are and make the missions pass. But people have to lie. You're forced into lying.
If you're a bad liar, this is a bad game for you. Because I've seen some people struggle so hard to say they do the facial expressions like, no, I'm not.
No,
and
that wasn't me. I didn't do
I remember your sister Connie. She was the resistance. No, it's the bad side.
She was a spy.
She was a spy, and she had a lie. And she got up and ran out of the room. That wasn't too suspicious at all.
Well, it wasn't me. Run away.
It's just like people everyone starts eyeballing each other. Everyone starts blaming everybody. It's really fun to watch. It can be somewhat damaging to friendships, but
Yeah, and for someone that's supposed to have a lot of insight, and I'm horrible at that game. I'm like, it's Matthew. I know it's Matthew. I didn't even see him pick up a card. It's like Matthew's the spy. I know it's him.
Well, his technique is to act like the liar, even if he's not the spy.
Yep.
You never know.
You got to maintain consistency.
Yeah, your poker face has to be on point. Those are great games, though. I never had actually played those not that long ago, and that's a different dynamic kind of game, very intricate.
Yeah.
The quick games are always good, and that's another one that just kind of flies by that everyone can pick up really quickly. I mean, that especially if you're getting a large group of people together, you have to have a game that people can learn quickly and just go with the flow of the game rather than going back to the rules.
Right, and that's another game, like you're saying, what you're saying is that it's another game that people who don't play tabletop can enjoy really quickly, because we're the kind of tabletop players where we can take hours on end to figure it out and play the game. You need that fast pace for people that are at a party or something that just want to play a quick round or something that was specifically good.
For a party game, there was a present that Matthew and his wife got me. It was one of those Secret Santas. It's a game called Quelf. And it turned out to be one of the best games I've ever played.
I read that title totally wrong.
I know.
I thought it was something totally different.
I always see it, and I think the same thing when I see it. I'm like, Quelf. Just like a freaking middle school kid.
So this whole game, the whole basis is, it's kind of like a cranium type game. And you have different things you do. You act out, or you have to answer trivia questions. At one point, I'm playing with my nieces, and they have to get up, smell my shoe for a minute.
What?
And that's one of the challenges they have to do. If they do it, then they